Hello and welcome to day 2 of Headstand from Basics to Balancing. Today's practice is all about the placement of the head and the neck in Headstand 1. So what we're going to work with is going to involve a little bit of wall space. It's not going to be complicated. You don't need much, just enough that you can back up against the wall and feel that alignment. So let's get started standing with the back against the wall. So when you back up against a wall like this, depending on the size of your booty, your feet may or may not be touching the wall. We do want the bum to be touching. So just back up until it does easily. The feet under the hips, and then the shoulders back, and the head back. Now, if your head doesn't touch the wall, that's what you need to work on to be safe in headstand. If your head is really far forward, it's going to put a lot of strain on your neck and not be very safe for you. So right now, roll the shoulders back, open the chest, and lift your gaze so you're looking out at the imaginary line of the horizon. You want to lift enough with your chin that the front of the throat is open and you're looking almost just a hair down your nose. So this is really Tadasana, our mountain pose, but we're just using the wall as a way to really imprint what it feels like to stand up straight like that. So what you're going to do is, with that posture memorized, you're going to step forward, just one step, and see what that feels like to stand up with all of that like vigor and alertness and attention in the spine. Now, with one of your hands, you are going to attempt to find what feels like the highest point of your head when you're in this alignment. So for most people, it's somewhere between the center of the head and the hairline. If you're not sure, you can always ask a friend, or you can take a picture, or even use 2 mirrors to look at yourself from the side. So this point that you have found when you stand in this way, that's the point. So for me, it's right about here. That's the point that's going to go on the floor when you put your head down in Shirshasana. So remember in yesterday's video, now if you didn't see the video, I'll put a card with a link for it right up there, but we talked about the forearm and we talked about the placement of the hands. So when we go to put the head down in headstand, we're not going to change the hand shape. We're just going to put that little dot right on the floor and nestle the back of the head just against the heels of the hands. It won't be touching here at the inside of the palm, because if you did, that would mean that you broke the line of the foundation, and that's much less stable than keeping that tight triangular shape that we worked on yesterday. Okay, so still going to need your wall space, so just keep your mat near the wall, and you're going to take all fours facing toward the wall. Okay, so just go ahead and plant your hands down on the mat, firm and straight arms, either under your shoulders or maybe just a little in front of them if you have tighter wrists like I do. Feel that texture of the mat just to bring a grounded presence to your practice. And then when you inhale, you're going to arch your back and look up in cow. And when you exhale, you're going to tuck your chin, round your back, and come into cat pose. Do that one more time. Inhale, lengthening, still remembering that little dot on the top of your skull, and then exhaling to round. From here, walk the hands toward the wall into puppy pose. So this is like dog pose on the knees with the hands out front. Lift the armpits a little bit, but squeeze the upper back and take the chest closer to the floor, and eventually maybe release the head and rest the forehead down on the mat. I'm just beginning to open the shoulders in preparation for Shirshasana. Just a breath in and a breath out. Lift the head, reverse to all fours, and then step forward with your right leg between your hands. Bring your hands up onto the right knee and bend into that lunge, just to get a little openness in the hip flexors. Come back in your mind's eye to this alignment of the wall behind you. Lift your chin, push your head into that imaginary wall, and extend up through the crown of your head. Exhale, touch the floor, both hands. Step back with the right leg and switch over to the left. There's no rush. We're just warming up the body a little bit. One of the things that will be important later is that the hips and low back being loose or stretched out make it easier to get in and out of this pose. So we're just taking a moment to do that here. But while we're here, let's remember the openness of the front of the throat, this imaginary horizon line that we're gazing at just slightly down the tip of the nose. You can place your hand on top of your head right at that point, the palm right at that point you found as the high point. Push up into your hand, telescoping the spine toward the sky. Taking a breath. Exhale and release. Either repeat puppy pose on Hatha Asana or step into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. You choose. Let's take 3 more breaths. Really squeeze the arms straight. Stretch the chest closer to the knees as if to bring the head closer to the floor. As you do that, lift a little in the armpits just to provide support for the shoulders, but draw shoulder blades on back, squeezing between them to deepen the back bend. Exhale, knees to the floor, and take a rest in child's pose. We're going to play a fun little game next. You can come up to sitting and just maybe watch for a quick second. What we're going to do is we're going to walk in to the wall at all fours, and we're going to recreate that Tadasana spine by bringing the head back and opening the front of the throat. And once we have the spine in that nice long line, we're going to just walk in, walk in, walk in until that little dot that we have found finds the wall. You got to do this on a sticky mat, otherwise you're probably going to slide around. But you're going to push with that little dot on your head right into the wall, as if you're pushing the wall away, like a stubborn ram headbutting the wall. Now, if you feel secure with that, take one arm off the floor and reach it straight out to the side. Maybe both arms can get free and move. So if you can't do this, if you can't take your hands off the ground and really reach out through your neck and through your head into the wall, then you're not quite ready to stand upside down on your head. We don't want to overdo the neck. We want to make sure that the neck has a little bit of strength and stability first. Okay, so back off the wall, sit on your heels or sit cross-legged and just look forward for a moment. So after that sort of pressure and engagement in the neck, you might find what was working? Where do you feel like you were working? And then we can refine how we're going to place the head based on what we feel. So for example, if you were too far forward toward your hairline when you had your head against the wall, you can practice this here. If you push down with your hand and up with your head, the front of your throat will overwork. Conversely, if you were too tucked, if your chin was tucked down too much when you put your head on the wall, you put your hand on top of your head in that position and you try to telescope up into your hand, you'll feel strain in the back of your neck. So you can use that to refine where the placement of your head is. Okay, so let's put that on the floor. You're gonna come back to all fours, and much like we practiced yesterday, you're gonna drop down onto your elbows. You're gonna interlace your fingers. Again, the foundation setting, we did that in day one. So create that shape, that triangle, a small gap between the heels of the hands, the thumbs steepled up. Do not change the shape of your hands. That's the tricky part here. And if you're used to balancing with the hands splayed open a little, this will feel weird to you. So what that means is we're gonna go to dolphin pose and we're not gonna change the hands. You're gonna separate the feet to give more room for flexibility reasons. And then you're gonna walk in just a little bit. You're gonna tuck the chin down, and you're gonna find that dot on the top of your head, and you're gonna lower it to the floor. Don't change your hands. So the only part of your head that's touching your hands, it's touching at the heels of the hands only, not in the palms. Push the forearms down, raise the head off the floor. Look at your hands again. You should still have that gap between the palms where like the size of a lemon maybe is sitting there. So we're gonna do that 2 more times. We're gonna release the neck and head. We're gonna find our personal little PowerPoint on the head, and we're gonna stick it on the floor. We're gonna push down with the head and the heels of the hands and keep the hips high, lengthening through the neck. Push the heels of the hands and forearms and everything down towards the floor, lift the head. And the next time when the head comes down, hands don't move, back of the head is only touching heels of the hands. You're gonna stay here and you're gonna keep pushing the forearms down. Don't move your head around. Just push that little dot on the top of your head straight into the floor. Simultaneously reach up through your buns, keep the feet down for today, just to think about decompressing the neck. Skull and forearms reach down, hips reach high. Good job. Lift your head, walk your feet out, drop the knees. Whew, that's a lot of work on the arms. Rest them now in child's pose. When you feel like you've sort of caught your breath, just go slow. Head was down there for a while. You can sit yourself back upright. Go ahead and sit all the way on your hips and stretch your legs out in front for a moment. So it's a good idea when you start to bear weight on the head to do this incrementally. So you don't want to do like 5 minutes upside down on day one. Okay, let's bend the right leg and take a simple twist to the right, wrapping left arm around the knee or over the top of it, right hand behind the hips. Right, so many years ago, I had a student, and when she was new to yoga, she was not my student then, before I knew her. She went to a yoga class and she practiced headstand, and she loved how she felt so much that after class, she went home and decided to do headstand again. And she stayed in it for something like 5 minutes, I think, a very long time. Let's go ahead and change legs. She reported to me that she, later in the day, had 2 black eyes. So the blood volume increases when you go upside down, right? All that blood is drained down to the head, and little capillaries around her eyes burst, and it's not really what we're going for. So as they say in Spanish, poco a poco, just do a little bit at a time, and maybe you can add a few seconds each day. So I would say start with maybe 30 seconds, no more than a minute of that upside down position. Now tomorrow we'll be moving on in our headstand practice, and we will be getting more and more prepared to actually go all the way upside down with our legs. Okay, so for now, let's take the legs out in front. Take an inhale and reach the arms overhead, and on the exhale, sweep the arms out and either hold the feet or the ankles or grab a belt and loop it over the legs instead. Squeeze the legs straight. Relax the face.
Tuck the chin in just enough that you can look down at the ground and make the neck and head an extension of the spine. We'll end today's practice seated, just for a few breaths. So you can sit however is comfortable to you and just quietly take a moment to ground and calm yourself before you leave. You can stay as long as you like, or thanks for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.